This is the dramatic video that has triggered a wave of controversy. A violent confrontation on a New York City street that ends with one man, a black man, dead, and the police accused of using excessive force and even racism. So just how much force is too much for police departments across the country? It all unfolded in a matter of minutes. Two plainclothes police officers confronting 43-year-old Eric Garner for allegedly selling loose cigarettes, a misdemeanor.
I'm minding my business, officer.
There's a tense standoff as Garner protests.
I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone.
Watch as the two officers move in and try to physically arrest him. Garner seems to resist.
Don't touch me, please.
One of the officers puts his forearm around Garner's neck as other officers join in, and within seconds, the 350-pound man is down. From the ground, Garner cries out. For several long minutes, Garner lays on the ground, not moving.
He was saying, stop resisting. He's like, I'm not resisting, and then it was, I can't breathe, and then that's it. You see his arm get stiff, and I already knew. Paramedics arrive. One of them is seen on the videotape speaking to Garner.
Sir, is anything hurting right now in EMS?
Sir, EMS is here. Answer their questions, okay?
But they appear to do nothing. Finally, Garner is placed on a stretcher and taken by ambulance to a local hospital. About an hour later, the father of 6 children is pronounced dead.
It just snatched my heart right out my chest. Like I'm an empty shell right now. But I gotta stay strong for my kids.
Not just this case, in this city. Police actions are coming under scrutiny all around the country, shining a spotlight on the controversial practice of chokeholds, a technique that most big city police departments now ban.
A chokehold can cause death. A chokehold can cause suffocation. It's a dangerous maneuver.
This cell phone video captures a confrontation between police and a Virginia woman. Petersburg police say officers are trained to use the least amount of force. The woman was convicted of obstructing justice. And then there's this man in San Francisco, already in handcuffs, who appears to be held in a chokehold by this officer.
He's not fighting back. He's gonna kill him.
Police maintained it was not a chokehold, but a carotid restraint, which is allowed. Back in New York, this video, also under scrutiny, it shows police appearing to forcibly restrain a man suspected of entering a subway station without paying.
Stop resisting!
While one officer handcuffs the man, another is seen putting his arm around the suspect's neck. NYPD says the incident is under investigation by the department's Internal Affairs Bureau. Under investigation, the officer who put his arm around Garner's neck, identified as Daniel Pantaleo, an 8-year veteran, has been reassigned to desk duty pending the case's outcome, his badge and shield taken away. It turns out Pantaleo was the subject of 2 other lawsuits, one for wrongful arrest, the other for a strip search in broad daylight. The strip search case was settled out of court. The wrongful arrest case is still ongoing. And those 4 paramedics who responded to the scene and appeared to do nothing, they have been suspended without pay pending further investigation.
What should be done as soon as an EMT arrives?
Check for responsiveness, open his area, protecting his cervical spine.
Did you see evidence of that?
If it happened, it wasn't on the video.
Don't touch me, please. Don't touch me.
The other police officers who took part in Garner's arrest are also facing potential departmental disciplinary charges, and some could potentially even face criminal charges. In response to what happened on Staten Island, Police Commissioner William Bratton has just ordered a massive overhaul of the entire force.
There will be a retraining of every member of the New York City Police Department in the weeks, months, and potential years ahead.
All 35,000 New York cops to be retrained in arrest procedures and the use of force.
Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it.
That day changed my life. Like, I wish it didn't have to happen this way. Watching it now, it's like, it hurts. I get goosebumps, because I feel like I could have done a lot more than just stand there and videotape. I can't breathe. I went home and took a shower, and it hit me like, damn, they just killed my friend.
shut down major highways in multiple cities.
I work for We Cop Watch.
Go on the side. Go on the side. Go on the side. Stay on the side. I told you to get this.
We are on Baruch and Houston. Ramsey has just been arrested for standing off of the sidewalk while filming. The police arrest someone else.
My main goal is to put pressure on cops. Once they see a camera in somebody's hand or a phone in somebody's hand, like they quick to think twice, like, oh shit. Are exposed, literally the modern day lynching. That's what happened. They choked them to death. I don't regret it, but I don't want to be dealing with this shit. I'm about to go give up some time for my life for taking a video.
We've been waiting on the story for a couple days now. A recommendation has been issued in the New York Police Department for the officer who was involved in that choking incident from 5 years ago. Eric Garner died that day. That's the officer you're seeing there.
Bill, we've just received word from the Civilian Complaint Review Board saying that it is going to essentially recommend the firing. A deputy commissioner of police who presided over a 7-day trial is ruling that Daniel Pantaleo should lose his job. Ultimately, the decision here is going to be made by New York City's police commissioner. The statement reads, quoting, "Today's decision confirms what the Civilian Complaint Review Board always has maintained. Officer Daniel Pantaleo committed misconduct on July 17, 2014, and his actions caused the death of Eric Garner. The evidence the CCRB prosecutors brought forth at trial was more than sufficient to prove that Pantaleo is unfit to serve. Commissioner O'Neill must uphold this verdict and dismiss Pantaleo from the department, as was recommended by both the CCRB and the Deputy Commissioner of Trials." Again, it was the Deputy Commissioner of Trials who presided over this 7-day hearing. It's important to note here that Daniel Pantaleo was never charged with any crime. The medical examiner in New York ruled that Eric Garner's death was, in fact, a homicide. A grand jury in Staten Island, where the incident took place, would not indict. And the Justice Department also failed to bring charges against Officer Pantaleo, saying there was simply not enough evidence for a civil rights violation. The family won a $5.9 million settlement, received a $5.9 million settlement from the city of New York for wrongful death. But this decision is the first time that there's been any punitive action taken against the police officer. There you see him on the right-hand side of the screen. Daniel Pantaleo.
An NYPD judge is now recommending the firing of the officer accused in the choking death of Eric Garner. The video of the incident caused a national firestorm. You could hear Garner saying, "I can't breathe," at least 11 times before falling unconscious. As you remember, he later died. Well, tonight it is now up to the police commissioner here in New York whether the officer will be fired.
This is the video that helped galvanize the Black Lives Matter movement. NYPD Officer Daniel Pantaleo and Eric Garner wrestling to the ground after he was stopped for allegedly selling cigarettes on the street. Garner screaming those words, "I can't breathe," 11 times, moments before he stops moving. He later dies. Tonight, 5 years later, a judge ruling that Officer Pantaleo's actions and that chokehold were reckless, recommending that he should be fired.
We've been waiting for 5 years for someone to say that he did something wrong, and they finally made that decision today.
The judge ruling that the 7-second chokehold violated department policy.
Today, we finally saw a step towards justice and accountability.
The decision coming weeks after the DOJ declined to press federal charges against Pantaleo. The police union slamming today's decision, warning it should give every officer pause.
When someone calls 911 and dispatchers call you, and there's a circumstance where you have to put your hands on someone,
Call your sergeant first, because you will not have the backing of the city.
Was suspended today, but the police union is warning the commissioner he will lose his department if he removes Officer Pantaleo from the force. And if he doesn't, the city is bracing for protests. Tonight, the commissioner is refusing to comment until that decision is made.